How can we have the best influence? How do we get people to like us, form a great first impression, or get them to open up to us? That's the model today at Live on Purpose TV. Obviously, as a psychologist, it's important for me to kind of get into the minds of other people. And the only way really to do that is to have them open up to me, to share whatever's in there. I am not a good mind reader. I don't know how you're doing with that, but it just doesn't work out very well. So I really want people to be open and receptive. And I've thought about that a lot in terms of also leadership. What if you're in a leadership position? Do you want to be able to have influence, have people open up with you, have people like you? I read a book years ago. In fact, I had a person on my show. This is back before the podcasting days. I was doing live radio, K-Talk Radio in Salt Lake City up the road here a bit. And I had Dr. Ann Demaray on my show. Dr. Demaray wrote a book called First Impressions. And in her book, she suggested that where our focus is probably the most important first step in getting, in her case, a good first impression with someone, establishing a first impression. So that got me to thinking that maybe there's something to this that would allow us to understand how to have influence and how to get people to actually open up to us in a conversation. So I'm going to share a model with you that I think is absolutely powerful. And it starts with an understanding that our own focus, so think about your own thinking for a moment. Your own focus is going to be in one of these two areas. It's either going to be on how I feel or how others feel. So when you see the first person I here, I'm talking about you, all right? When you see you, we're talking about other people. So own this, okay? Read it in first person. My focus is on how I feel, or it's on how they feel. Got it? So we got the red column and the yellow column. All right, now let's add a dimension to this because this gets really interesting when we do. The content of our focus. Forget about feelings for a minute. Now we're on the content. Who is it about? Is it about me? That's the red row. Or is it about you? Other people. That's the blue row. So when we combine these two dimensions, we get kind of an interesting quadrant system. And the colors blend kind of nicely too. So our focus might be in any of these four quadrants. Let's take a look at each of these four and see what happens when our own focus is in that particular quadrant. So for example, what if my focus is on how I feel about myself? Connect with the energy of that for a moment. How does it feel to be in that quadrant? How does it feel when other people are in that quadrant? Oh, you can tell, can't you? I mean, think about when you have experienced that someone is so caught up in how they feel about themselves, or when that is your focus. Now, the potential pitfall that we have here is called self-consciousness. And I'm not talking about a healthy sense of self-awareness. I'm not talking about mindfulness. Those are different things. I'm talking about that anxious level of, oh my gosh, am I good enough? Can I do this? I don't know if I've got what it takes. Am I good enough? Am I cute enough? Am I smart enough? Red. All the way. Check in with how that feels, what the energy of that is. Okay, now let's move over to orange and see what this looks like. What if my focus is on how you feel about me? What if I'm constantly worried about, do you approve of me? Do you think I'm good enough? Do you think I know what I'm talking about? And do you think I'm okay? Now you can see that the pitfall there is insecurity, where we get just tied up, paralyzed sometimes by worrying about how other people feel about us. Either way, red or orange, we create and generate and perpetuate anxiety. Anxiety. My daughter helped me to learn this. We were having some conversations about some of the anxiety she was experiencing. And she is a beautiful, brilliant young woman who realized that every time she feels anxiety, it's about her. I've realized that for myself. When I get nervous or upset or anxious, usually my focus is about me. It's either how I feel about myself or I'm worried about how other people feel about me. Red or orange creates anxiety. Let's move down to purple. Now my focus is on how I feel about you. Did you like that when I pointed that? How I feel about you. That's the only thing that's important. Do I approve of you? Do I think you know anything? Do I like your choices in life? Parents get into this quadrant a lot because their focus tends to be on how they feel about their kids, right? Or about their kids' choices. Either way, it's purple. When we get into purple, the pitfall is criticism. Even if it's not intended, even if it's positive. What? Wait, think about that for a minute. What if my approach in this interaction right here is, okay, I approve of you, and I pat you on the head. That's positive, right? I approve of you. But look how it feels. I'm here, you're there. Me, you. See, I'm setting up a discrepancy there where I get to be the authority. I get to approve or disapprove of you and your choices in your life or whatever, right? That's why I said parents get into this purple thing a lot. Criticism. You'll know that you're in purple if you feel resistance and defensiveness coming back at you from other people, even if you don't intend to be critical. Okay, that's what you'll pick up on. So that's one of the indicators that can tell us we're in that purple quadrant. Now, whether it's red or purple, either way, it's about judgment. It's either self-judgment or criticism of others. It puts us in a judgmental frame. So we've only covered 3 quadrants so far. How you liking your options? Not so great yet, right? So let's go green. That's kind of a trendy thing, right? Let's go green. What is that green quadrant? Now my focus is not about me. And how I feel is only secondary. My focus is on how you feel about yourself. If I can get into that green quadrant, I will have influence. Influence. Okay? And people will love me too. If you can get into the green quadrant, people will love you and you will have influence. Now let's look at the whole model. The green quadrant is where we get to have the best influence. And I just said, if you get into green, people will love you. But if you do it for that purpose, it's not green anymore. It's orange. Because where's your focus if you're trying to get people to love you? See, now your focus is on how other people feel about you. Interesting. Still about you, right? If you get into the green quadrant, you will be able to influence and lead people. But if you do it for that purpose, it's not green, it's purple. Because now your focus is on how you feel about them or their behavior or their actions. It's no longer green. It's a paradox. And I love that psychology has these paradoxes, but they can be really troubling sometimes. You can have the influence, and you're most likely to have the influence when you give up your need for it and when you're not trying to have it. But when your focus is genuinely on how other people feel about themselves, and it's not about you, and how you feel is only secondary, that is powerful. As we go green, not only are people going to open up to us, they're going to love us and allow us to influence them as long as we keep it genuine and we stay in that green quadrant. That's what I'm calling the influence quadrant. And I believe that's how we're going to best get people to open up to us. The influence quadrant. Do you like that? That's coming out in one of my upcoming books. I'm glad you're subscribed.